Bonjour mes amis, hi guys. I've been meaning to do a little roundup video of the watch market in general, what I see here in Hong Kong, some of the latest news, and maybe talk about the nominees at this year's GPHG, and a few other things that have been on my mind thinking about the watch market. So let's start with the big news, of course, of the year, the slowdown in the watch market. And you've seen many videos with alarming thumbnails like these ones. Why the watch market has crashed, the crash of the watch market. And I'm not very fond of comparing and using the same wording for the watch market as for the stock market. They are very different things, very different way they are structured. Some of the things are comparable. Greed, of course, is comparable. But when you're talking about watches that are being produced every month and delivered every month, it's quite different from the stock market. But we could make some analogies. But anyway, most of the videos compare prices of 2022 or 2023 to 2024 for a few watches, the marquee watches, the Daytona, the Royal Oak, Nautilus, and obviously we are lower because the valuations were absolutely crazy. But already 2-3 years ago, as I was saying, that much of these prices were there because of all the people flipping these watches on, and the dealers in between taking their little profit. And with Chrono 24 distributing the information instantly worldwide and showing only sellers' prices, everything was quickly distorted. But at the same time, the most in-demand watches were pretty much taken out of the market straight away. They were never given a chance to be sold to actual buyers who wanted them. And just as an example, it is well known that the main distributor of Rolex in Holland sells the watches straight to dealers, and many watches from Germany end up in Hong Kong that way as well, through 2 or 3 intermediaries, each one taking already their profit. So while the market has technically crashed, you could say it is from ridiculous levels. You still have to pay twice retail for a Pepsi Rolex, which is really the watch that kicked off everything for me in 2018. Until then, there was no such talk as a watch that would be impossible to get right from the get-go. Yes, the Daytona was very much in demand, difficult, impossible to get. But really, from that moment, the mindset changed, and it sort of snowballed through the range of Rolex, and it really helped the rest of the market, all the other brands. And of course, COVID in its own way helped with people at home, not spending money on traveling. And at the same time, there was so much Instagram, so much YouTube talking about the same watches, and it pushed the whole market. And if you can't get a Royal Oak, if you can't get a Nautilus, what do you look at? You look at the next best one, maybe the Laureato. And so brands like Girard-Perregaux had their success. Likewise, the Chronomaster Sport of Zenith was a great proxy for the Daytona, with its own qualities, unique actually, in many ways better than the Daytona, and it benefited many brands. It benefited also, of course, all the independents. Finally, the market was awash with money, people looking for something different as well, and all those projects finally could take off, and they were financed and sold out for the next few years of production. So we've just seen quite a golden age in a way of for watches. And right now the situation is very different. And the aforementioned brand Girard-Perregaux, under now private management, is struggling to pay its watchmakers and asking handouts from the government. Very difficult to find watchmakers, train them, and then you have to keep them when times are tough. And they are struggling. But look, what did they do when they had a bit of success with the blue dial, mainly a 41 millimeter Laureato? Suddenly at the AD, you could not get a discount anymore. And then they raised the prices. Well, many brands did the same. Zenith did the same. And then what do? They released tons of other products, different sizes, different colors, different metals, expecting the buyers that they had finally gotten to stick with them. And to me, it has antagonized many of the buyers. Likewise, GLC raising their prices 40%. I know they were one of the brands making the least the least money in percentage, and they had it was a long time coming for them to increase the prices, and in a way they and many other brands try to place themselves in a more luxury level than they were 4 years ago. Even Seiko, when you think about it, is very different from the Seiko that I really enjoyed a long time ago. And they give you a bit more, but sometimes they take away something, and everything gets priced higher up. And it is a very different thing. And now that the market is coming down, not that the buyers are not coming in troves anymore. The brands are struggling. The suppliers, the backbone of Switzerland, the suppliers. I mean, many brands that you think are doing everything. Everything is done by suppliers, and in particular the independents. They design the watch, but the suppliers do everything. They are suffering of the slowdown in demand and asking handouts to the Swiss government. Now, coming to the slowdown in demand, we can see the Swiss Federation numbers. If you're interested, this is the website. I can see it firsthand right here in Hong Kong, with many of the prized, super expensive, some of the most expensive in the world retail locations being abandoned by the watch brands, by the luxury brands. For example, this Faux Heritage shopping mall, the 1881, very beautiful place. 30 stores, only 3 of them right now are occupied. This is a place where you could go in the past, shop for IWC, Longer, GLC, Patek, I believe, as well. It is owned by Li Ka-shing, the billionaire, the richest man in Asia. And there you go, it is mostly empty, and very much the mindset of those billionaires. They've been making so much money ever since the Asian crisis. All the rents have been going up steadily to crazy valuations. Some of them have so much cash they can just wait it out rather than reduce the rents. Others are not in such a good position, and some of the places are re-rented to some popular restaurant or a bank at rent, sometimes a tenth of what it was before. So quite a change. And if you walk around Hong Kong, in central Soho, you will see many empty shops, and a lot of landlords just want to wear out all the tenants and then redevelop the whole thing, waiting for better days. And this is all the result of a slowdown in the economy in China. So the Chinese buyers are not coming as much to Hong Kong. They're not spending as much, and they're more careful, not displaying too much wealth, afraid of repercussions back home. So Hong Kong is in itself is a strong watch market, even without the visitors. And you can ask anybody here, everybody has been buying a lot of watches, and everybody now is being much more careful, because after spending so much during COVID and after COVID on traveling, now we have high interest rates. We have inflation. The living rents are still very high, and so everybody is a bit strapped for cash. So, and everybody has watches to sell. So the retail side of the watch market is very, very slow, and you can feel it in the city, in the events, and talking to dealers and authorized dealers. So that is impacting obviously very much the Swiss exports. Very interesting to see the Richemont Group's CEO praising his private counterparts, the Patek, the Rolex, for their restraint in not increasing too quickly their production. Having said that, we've seen Rolex putting together temporary production sites to increase production. We've seen Patek opening a brand new facility not that long ago, but 70% of Patek watches lose money on the secondary market, and it's the watch that they want to distance themselves from the most, the Nautilus, that is still the most in demand, and same thing for the Aquanaut. So we'll see. It's going to be interesting to see if the authorized dealers of Patek and Rolex will still pretend that nothing is available in the coming future. So moving on a little bit, there was an interesting podcast just at the right time, as I was wondering, hey, what is the next hot market? And the stock market that's been the hottest earlier this year was the Indian market. And here on the ground in Hong Kong, it's quite interesting. It's a bit of a proxy of what goes on in the world. I see more and more wealthier middle class families settling in here. We see them a lot more in the restaurant. So is the Indian middle class going to be the next target for the Swiss luxury companies? And there was a great podcast. You can listen to it from Ariel Adams on Blog to Watch with this lady, Shilpa Damija. She's a specialist of the luxury market in India, and she was explaining how different it is from the Chinese market, whereby the Chinese buyers will buy anything from European. They will wear those branded clothes, quite proud of having been able to buy the item, and the brands can just come, take their money, and leave with it, and not do much effort in terms of integrating their business to the Chinese economy, and adapting their marketing tactics to it. While in India, there is a well-established tradition of gem setting, of gold is the largest market for gold, and of course there's also 20% tax. There's a talk about removing it on luxury items, but most importantly, people really look for value. They are used to recognizing where value is, and wooing the middle class there, which is really the bulk of a lot of the watch sales, is going to be difficult. The brands that are still the most common over there would be Mido or Rado. And of course, the ultra wealthy will buy a Rolex, Patek, Bejeweled, and all that. But that is a bit different. So it will be interesting to see if we talk more about India as the next big market. I think Miss Damija mentions that Bulgaria has been making much effort to understand the market, and also there's this barrier to the entry to the market, whereby every product has to have, apparently, I think 30% of its value coming from the Indian country, from India itself. Maybe in terms of gold, it's easy, or for watch, the dials, many of them are already made in India. So it would be interesting to see how brands can integrate into that market. So we've talked about the price hikes, and it seems to me that the brands with as soon as the market was a bit hot, antagonized the middle class very much, but at the same time, the uber wealthy, you can see them really easily here in Hong Kong, still spend a lot, and they even keep alive luxury malls like the Landmark. And what did we see this year in the releases? Well, first we started with the Rolex. In general, there were very few new interesting watches, but Rolex releases this deep sea in full gold. That was quite the statement. And at Geneva Watch Days, Breitling, which is owned by a CVC partner, it's an investment firm, released 3 gold watches to celebrate their 140th anniversary. And I'm wondering who is buying that when I am seeing mostly their big, beautiful boutique at the central of Hong Kong, mostly empty. I've never seen actually any customer there. And you've seen in the newspaper that the company is valued at $4 billion. And I'm guessing, that is privately valued at that until maybe an IPO or a sale, and then we'll see really what the real value is after a while. I don't really believe in this, but maybe they try to cater to this uber wealthy. Speaking of spending a lot of money. There was something very interesting in the news as well. The Formula One. I love following Formula One. Sponsorship of a Rolex has ended after so many years. It was such the marquee there, and apparently Rolex was paying about $50 million, while LVMH now has taken up that contract, and they will spend $150 million, I believe, a year, and they sign up for 10 years. So instead of seeing Rolex on the side of the track, I suppose we'll see not LVMH, because that doesn't mean much to people. Maybe we'll see a TAG Heuer, which is the brand with the most interest, most links to racing. Rolex itself, it's not actually on the wrist of any driver, and it's mostly associated to Le Mans, where the winners will win usually a Rolex, usually the two-tone Daytona. So maybe Rolex saw that there was not that much upside for them to pay more, and maybe they even played that game and let LVMH overspend for this. I think it's again Ariel Adams in one of the podcasts who was mentioning that it's a bit like the auction for art or for watches. The guy who ends up winning sometimes overpaid a lot, and the next guy, if he's not there, the third guy is really far away. Kind of feels like LVMH is paying a lot in a market, as I was saying, that is slowing down very much, a luxury market slowing down very much. So, it will change the look of Formula One, but were really people buying Rolex because they saw Rolex on the side of the track? I think people notice more the IWC on the wrist of Lewis Hamilton, or the Richard Mille on the wrist of Charles Leclerc. But anyway, moving on from this deal to another deal, Hodinkee, who really shot themselves in the foot when they bought Crown & Caliber, which has just been resold now to another owner. Hodinkee now is part of Watches of Switzerland, and when they bought already Crown & Caliber, suddenly they had a bunch of watches to sell. Which was, I suppose, the way of Ben Clymer to get to the next level and to make more money, monetize more his website. But when you have a watch to sell, how can you be really objective about your reviews, and it will orient your reviews towards those watches. Same can be said about the situation now with Hodinkee becoming basically the salesman for watches and Watches of Switzerland, and Ben Clymer becoming an employee of Watches of Switzerland, who have a lot of watches to sell. And obviously, you can't really be objective and say anything wrong about what you're trying to sell. So. It's a bizarre thing, but speaking of this, I I'm thinking which brands might get consolidated. I'm hearing that Parmigiani is not doing too good, and when I look around for the past year, I see the same watches day in day out, every week, every month in the windows. The same Parmigiani Fleurier, great watches. Don't get me wrong, but they just don't sell. Gr Perigot, same thing. Zenith, even the independents, Laurent Ferrier. Are not really selling. It was, I think there's a lot of overproduction from many, and let's remember a bit the days when Panerai was all the rage, and people would pay premium for them. Maybe Rolex one day will be in the same predicament. People might realize Rolex is a bit, it's an Auto Perpetual with different colors, and nothing special when you have one on the street, because many people have one as well. And I'm wondering if Patek is doing that well. As I was saying, most of their watches lose money on the secondary market. So we'll see a bit if there's any consolidation, maybe some big groups buying up some of the manufacturers. I think one of the brands doing the best is maybe Chopard. They have a great lineup. They are manufacturers. They manufacture parts for other brands, and I think that's the way to go. Just like Romain Gauthier doing their own watches, doing watches for Chanel or Movement or polishing. Those are probably in a better situation than the other brands. What else was in the news? I want to go back to Hodinkee, because their marquee show is talking watches, and if I say talking watches, you're going to think about this this pop star, John Mayer. And by the way, try to name one song of John Mayer. I love guitar, I love music. I could not name one song, and everything I've heard from him is just like little pop songs. He's a great guitar player, but I'm surprised how much influence he has in our little watch world. But his mentioning of a very jarring Rolex has served more Rolex than it has served Hodinkee, probably. Because suddenly it was normal to buy a full gold Rolex, and all the full gold Rolex for a couple of years were just selling out. Now we have authorized dealers calling people saying, hey, do you want to buy this full gold, this GMT or Submariner? So the market is changing, but it's amazing how the influence that Hodinkee had, and even a minor celebrity could have on the watch market. People just got really crazy for just about anything. Don't get crazy for this thing though. The Trump watch, $100,000, and there's probably $5,000 of watches in it. Yes, it has a tourbillon. It's a Swiss tourbillon, but it's this cheapest Swiss tourbillon. I've reviewed it, albeit in a different watch on my channel. This one looks like it's put together. The assembly is done in China. The rest comes from parts B. And there's probably not an ounce of gold in this watch. It looks like it's gold plated with a very cheap clasp, cheap everything, cheap bracelet. And so this watch is the $100,000 Trump watch. Obviously, it's just a way to finance his campaign. And I don't want to get political. You can buy one of his watches. There's more affordable ones. The problem with this tourbillon is that if you read the fine print, you can buy you can buy it with crypto, which means anybody in the world who wants to finance his campaign has a great way an easy way, a discreet way to do it through this thing. And well, of course, we've seen other politicians getting large fees from private lobbies just for 30 minutes appearance. So it's not that different from it, but at least that is public. While here, any bad guy anywhere in the world could funnel money easily to some some address. It doesn't go directly to Trem. It goes through some bogus legal address somewhere, I don't know, in Delaware or wherever. So I thought that was worth mentioning. It's a bit of a bizarre thing, but since we're talking about gold watches, why not? I wanted to talk a bit quickly about the GPHG. And I had to refresh the feed a couple of times because the selection looks a lot like the selection from last year, I have to say. And a lot of watches that were entered are re-entered with maybe a different dial. And there's a bizarre amount of watches from Parmigiani and a couple of other brands like Moser. Of course, the GPHG, the sort of awards of watches, is very oriented towards the independents. And of course, the biggest brands are not part of it. Rolex, Omega, Patek, Cartier, GLC, they don't have any entry. So take this selection with a grain of salt. It's a bit political. It's a bit of a little group, but that's the way Swiss works. It's a small macrocosm, and you don't want to ruffle too many feathers. Which can cause problems because in the excitement of the past 3-4 years, a lot of us enthusiasts put down deposits or full amounts for projects that were based on ideas, renderings, or a previous model. And suddenly everything takes ages to be delivered. There's a lot of problems with the production quality, and I think it's a sign that something is not going quite right in Switzerland, and be careful with your money. I think as the market is coming down, it's a great time to buy the watches that you've always wanted as prices are coming back. But at the same time, not many people want to spend money. That's always the dilemma. All right, quick look at the GPHG. A couple of watches that I really like. The ladies' competition here. We see the first Chopard and the first Parmigiani Fleurier, the first of many. The rest, I don't think my wife would be interested, except maybe the Hermes, although it's not really her style. In the complications, we have a watch that we saw last year, the Anderson Genève. This one is the collab with Benjamin Chi with a Sakura. Sort of romantic dial, but again, my wife is Japanese, and trust me, she would not have any interest in this. It's a bit heavy-handed, and the worst one is this. I mean, what the hell is this? This looks stupid. And there's even a man's watch or unisex watch, the Trilobe, 38.5 millimeter. Not sure why it goes into the ladies' competition. No reason why the ladies wouldn't wear it, but it could go into the men's competition all the same. And this one is a unique piece, apparently. And there's a thing with this selection. Sometimes the pieces are just made. Sometimes it's just 5 or a dozen, or even a unique piece, and many times it's from independents who have already sold out everything. So not necessarily that interesting either if you can't even buy the watch. And speaking of which, we have in the time-only selection a very hot selection. We have a Berneron brand new watch. So the guy is exec, I think, from Breitling, so he knows a thing or two about the business, and he wanted to launch his own watch to have an original movement. That's why it cost 70,000 Swiss francs, and he's only going to make 10, 12 every year. At least that's the plan. If it goes well, and he's getting a lot of publicity, a lot of interest for this sort of proxy for a Cartier crash. So quite interesting. However, what is the future for the brand? While is the next watch going to be as interesting, as well designed? This one seems to please a lot of taste at the moment. But 70 grand for a watch, it's a lot. It's quite a big commitment into a brand and into a man who apparently has quite a short temper and has angered the Asian community with how he treated one of the very well-known people from the Asian watch community, and I won't say much about that anyway. Lederer, triple certification from the 3 observatories. Very interesting. The Chopard here is 19,000 Swiss francs, caliber 96 LU Chopard line. Very interesting because what you won't see in this selection is the second watch from the Lyric group. You remember the Lyric Etude number 1? I had shown you this very beautiful watch, which they had tried to enter at the last GPHG, but they were told that it was too cheap. By that I mean that the idea of the group of enthusiasts was to approach the very best suppliers in Switzerland and have a very good design work with them, and they put together this very nice watch. At cost, it would be around 10,000 US, and they wanted to enter it under the 10,000 US category against watches which were entered at their retail price. And if you retail a watch like this, it would cost probably 3 times its cost, so it would be like a $30,000 watch. So it was refused, and this year they tried to enter their second watch, and they enter, which is the same, kind of like the same, a bit thicker, and it has a faux guilloche by the Voutilainen company, which caused them lots of problem. There was a lot of delay in production and a lot of, which is again symptomatic of some problems in Switzerland when a big name like Voutilainen doesn't deliver properly. But yeah, this red watch was entered and didn't make the selection because it was entered well at the price of 29,000 Swiss francs. And why do I mention it? Is because probably when you're facing a Chopard with a classic Parmigiani design, the caliber 96, at a price of under 20,000 Swiss francs, that's quite a competition. Anyway, another JPEG, beautiful movement. This is the drop of water. There's a nicer dial, actually, version of this watch. I'm not crazy about this sort of romantic one. Moser enters quite a few watches. They had entered the Streamliner before, so this is just a different dial. Not really gonna speak too much about that. And Parmigiani again, a Tonda with a different dial. We have seen that watch before, just like we saw in the men's competition, the Bulgari, different version. There's a Grand Seiko here, another Parmigiani, a Voutilainen, and Hajime Asaoka. Good luck getting delivery. It probably takes years to get anything delivered by this watchmaker. For me, the choice is Garrick coming in with a watch without the dial, so you don't get that beautiful handmade guilloche that they are known for, but here you get their handmade deadbeat second, the first one, very cool complication. So they are my pick of the bunch in the men's complication. Yeah, I like the Chopard, the RTA. We saw a similar watch last year. The burn here doesn't look like it's completely finished. There was a very similar De Bethune last year. Frank Muller, actually kind of cool. I like this watch. Why not? A rectangular complication. Here we have a Japanese watch, apparently, Kazuo Maeda, or maybe French. It's called Heure Universelle, sort of old-fashioned world timer. And Chopard entering another watch, the Strike 1, very nice. I would love that watch. In the iconic, well, obviously we have the iconic entries that we see every year, the Breitling, the Hublot, the IWC, very cool. Louis Vuitton, quite nice, the Tambour. Piaget was the big headline this year with the revival of the Polo. And we have the Urwerk remake of their original watch. I think all those quirky futuristic watches, as well as they are made, there's so many now Chinese versions that look so similar that I think that their time has passed a little bit. The enthusiasm for it has passed a little bit. I don't know about the enthusiasm for Tourbillon, the Daniel Roth LVMH own brand is coming back with the same watch that Daniel Roth made, but now Daniel Roth is not making this one, but they make it, and it's expensive. Another Chopard with a Tourbillon. Another Moser with a Tourbillon that, yeah, I'm not crazy about skeletonized watches at all. Sartori Billard, I'd love to see that one in person actually. And I didn't go to the road show. It was only 2 days at Christie's here. I didn't go to the road show. Remy Coles probably has a good chance. It does look a bit like a student's watch in the presentation, but I'm sure the finishing is superlative. Calendar and astronomy. Anton Soranov, maybe the most interesting. I like the presentation of this watch. And Frédéric Constant going from strength to strength here with a perpetual designed by Peter Speak. Very cool watch. The design is still a bit middle of the road, very Dutch, I would say. But I think if they improve the design, now they have the might to produce incredible calibers in-house. Moser here doing something for the Chinese market with a calendar. Which we saw from Parmigiani last year, and another Parmigiani Tonda enters the competition. By now, you guess a bit, you understand a bit how the jury has been working. I think it doesn't reflect good on the GPHG to have so many Parmigiani. So this year they have the Hijri calendar. Last year was the red Chinese calendar. If there's a few trends that I'm really that I've had enough of, is it's the green dials, the Eastern Arabic numerals, and it is the moon phase. But nevertheless, Laurent Ferrier enters their moon phase calendar. And of course, the big news this year was the eternal calendar that nobody will be able to testify that it ever worked, and it would have anyway. It can't work forever because you're going to have to service it 1,000 times or more and until eternity. It's a great concept, but does it make any sense? And looking at this, you just stare at not only your mortality, but also the end of the world, I suppose. It's kind of grim in a way. Mechanical exceptions, Beauvais every year enter one of those opulent watches. Another Bulgari, Hermes, very nice, the Arceau. As I said, those quirky futuristic watches, not for me. Maybe for newcomers to the hobby. Of course, I talk like a guy who's been through a few years of it. There's always something to discover, of course, but there's always newcomers. There's always people who are going to be seeing this and say, that's what I want. They tend to be the crypto bros, but they're a bit more quiet this year. Piaget Altiplano, we've seen that before, new version, very cool. And same thing for the Freak, always nice. Big fan of the Angelus. This is not my favorite watch they are reissuing, but they have great movement. They have the rights to the Jaune and Denis Flageolet built, designed monopusher chronograph, the one that you found before in the Cartier Tortue monopusher. This is the big one, Recep Recepi. Quite an ugly watch, to be honest, but maybe in person it's more impressive. Anyway, it's $500,000, more affordable. The Masséna Lab collab with Sylvain Pinault, another monopusher. That's the marquee complication this year, along with the split second. We have one from Tag. Of course, we have one from Parmigiani. Look, great quality watches, Parmigiani, but the style is a bit empty. And the Zenith triple calendar, great looking watch, not so great to wear. Sport category, IWC, always there. Mink, quite nice, quite cool. Another Parmigiani, of course, and chronograph. The Singer reimagine with the Agenor, the Agenograph from Agenor. Not a big fan of this Tudor nor this Zenith. Last year, I was kind of praising Gucci for coming up with a pretty cool watch, but they re-entered this year, so what the hell is this? Jesus. Maybe your wife likes it, and mine doesn't. And in the artistic craft, again, Anderson Genève re-entered this jumping hour watch, this time with a jade stone. Beautiful, but I'm still puzzled about how to turn the crown on these watches. More affordable, Petit Aiguille. Interesting to see Christian Van Clau coming with something under 10,000 Swiss francs. Amida, designed by the aforementioned Mathieu Allègre, who designed the Lyric watches. Frédéric Constant again. could okay. I think it's making time reading more complicated than it needs, and it's not really beautiful. This is my favorite watch this year, the Black Bay 58 GMT. I love it and recommend it on the rubber strap. And of course, the Forlan Marie with the base is La Joux-Perret, but the module is by the Dominique Renault and Julien Trixier. Renault and Trixier are themselves coming up with a great new concept watch, reinventing how a watch should function. And in this case, the module is only 21 or 24 pieces, so really interesting. A watch that was entered for the Only Watch auction, and that was a bit of a disaster. The auction, not the watch. And now they make it a production watch, 39mm by 11. I have to see this really exciting watch. So Forlan Marie, if you want, please send me one. I'd love to review it and send it back to you, or maybe keep it. But it's 10 grand. Really cool design. Probably the winner this year for me. In the challenge category, nice oversized observatory hand by Beau Bleu, another moon phase by Christopher Ward, Forlan Marie, futuristic kind of watch that I see a lot here from Chinese brand in Hong Kong. Colloquium, all these little plots are put there by hand, more than 400 of them, and they're loomed, very cool, interesting case. Have to see it in person, but again, what is going to be the follow-up to this? You don't want to buy just one watch. You want to buy a brand as well. And speaking of brands, Otsuka Low-Tech, you can see the review on my channel. Thanks to my friend the collector. These are made in Japan by a designer turned watchmaker. They're very affordable, about around 2,300 US. But unfortunately, the local Japanese dealers bought out all the stocks and resell it at heavy premiums on eBay. But maybe one day. A very cool little watch. So there you go. This is the selection. Not really many exciting things. I like the Forlan Marie the most probably. But as I said, there's always new people coming in the hobby. And even though the market is slow, people are excited about new things, even if they're just a riff on a classic like we've seen with the first Omega in space. Thank you for looking at my video presentation for it in the metal. I was surprised how many people viewed that video. One of my fastest viewed videos, more than 40,000 views so far in not much time, and it shows the interest for watches, even though this one is a reissue and a reissue of something that they were able to make 60 years ago. After all, they were making this 60 years ago, and the new one, you could say, doesn't have a movement as refined or interesting, but it's a modern movement, much more usable. Beautiful watch, the new first Omega in space. And I will end up on this positive note because there is still a lot of interest for watches. And I will say that on my local trading watch trading app, every time I save something that I see coming down at a very good price, looking 1 or 2 weeks later, these things sell. So there is interest, there is people buying, but now they want the good deal, and too bad for the retail market. But there is still a lot of interest in watches and a lot of people coming to the hobby, but everybody wants to be careful what they do with their money. And I will leave on that note. Thank you guys for watching, and looking forward to your comments. And I'm lost my voice because of this video, so please give me a like just to support it, and buy me a glass of whiskey. Bye bye guys.